Tonight, it's your money, your questions. We're getting answers for you from the agency in charge of food stamps, Medicaid, and other help. There is a record-setting number of West Michigan families relying on the state to put food on their table at night, and that's why we asked the Department of Human Services to come in and answer some questions today, and this for the next 3 Tuesdays. Nancy Marshall is acting director of the Kent County DHS, and Nancy, we appreciate your time. We're getting dozens of questions. I'm sure you get a lot of questions. Monica came in. She wanted to know, she's from Wyoming. She wants to know why her caseworker never returns her calls. Here's Monica.
And I actually had to go down there, wait in a line for like an hour and a half. And I didn't even find out my case was closed until I got up to the window to ask if I could speak to my caseworker. They just said that my case had been closed and that I couldn't talk to my caseworker because I needed to make an appointment. But my concern was how can I make an appointment when nobody will return my call? And it feels almost like they don't care. But I understand, Michigan is having hard times, and everybody needs help. But my whole thing is a little communication is better than no communication. Just return my call.
Nancy, you can sense the frustration in that caller's voice. Caseworkers, though, are inundated with so many cases, 700 sometimes. Many of them feel they're drowning. Is it up to a caseworker to call someone back in this instance?
Certainly. We, as you say, have all-time record high number of people that are on assistance. Here in Kent County alone, we have over 79,000 households on assistance. Over 149 people that we service every day. The Department of Social Services is really dedicated to helping the vulnerable adults, children, and family here in this community. When our caseloads get so high, sometimes the workers have to really focus on the top priority, which is processing the applications and making the determinations for people who are applying with us. During the last 6 months, 9 months or so, our calls coming into DHS have really gone up. Back in September, we had over 190,000 calls coming in. As the workers are processing cases and getting things caught up, what we found was in December that incoming calls dropped to about 152,000 or so. So they're coming down. But the biggest thing that we have found is that the abandoned calls, the calls where people don't wait to talk to the worker or to talk to the switchboard operator, those calls are coming down. So we're getting to the calls faster as they come in. As far as the workers returning the calls, they make the attempt to return them if when they hear the client's message, it needs to be returned. Sometimes when people call, it's not necessary to return the call. If they give us enough information in the message that they leave for the worker can act on the information that they're given and might not need to call them back.
You can take care of it that way.
Certainly.
Yeah. And certainly a lot of patience, as you said. So many people are calling in. It gets frustrating on both ends, I'm sure. Nancy, you're sticking around for us. We're going to have a lot more coming up in the next hour. We are taking your questions, of course. And if you'd like to ask a question yourself, we invite you to send it in to yourmoney@woodtv.com. We do forward your emails directly onto DHS as well. Nancy, thank you.
Thank you.
There's a record-setting number of families relying on food assistance these days as Michigan continues to shed jobs. Nancy Marshall is acting director of Kent County DHS. She's going to be joining us every Tuesday this month to answer your questions. In this segment, we hear from Marjorie, who visited DHS today and says she was told that she doesn't qualify for food stamps because she makes too much money on unemployment and doesn't pay rent.
I've been in the computer industry for over 29 years. I currently lost my job due to an automobile industry closing. So I have been unemployed since July, and I'm now to the point where it's getting hard to pay all the bills. I wanted a little bit of assistance with food. It's like, I hear of all these people that have it, and, why don't I qualify? I've always taken care of, my bills, and it's hard.
Nancy, I know you can't talk about specific cases here, but we do have a graphic showing how you decide who gets food stamps. Walk us through this a little bit here.
Well, basically, the food stamp program is a federally funded program, and we have federal mandates that we follow. When we determine eligibility for food stamps, we have to look at a person's earned income and their unearned income, and we also have to look at the number of people that are in their household, those that are eating together, living together. And then the final thing we look at is what their monthly expenses are. The federal government won't allow us to use all of their expenses, but we look at things like their rent and their mortgage and their utilities, if they have to pay for child daycare, if they have to pay child support. Those are the things that we look at.
And the number on the bottom there, an average family of four, you can't make more than $28,668 a year. A lot of people probably floating right around that line. That's where it gets so frustrating for folks. It
really does. Margie is right. Times are really hard, and we do look at their income limit, and if they're above a certain limit, and it's based on what the poverty limits are, they could be totally ineligible for food stamps just based on their income. But if their income is below that gross threshold that the federal government sets, then we look at their expenses.
Nancy Marshall, you are acting director of the Kent County DHS. You're going to be with us every Tuesday this month. We appreciate your time, Nancy. And of course, if you have any questions you'd like answered, send it to us at yourmoney@woodtv.com. We do forward all of your emails on to DHS itself. Sue?